Picture this. It's 2 a.m. and you're standing in your kitchen eating cold leftover mac and cheese straight from the container while your teenager's unfinished science project stares at you from the dining table. Your lower back aches from helping. Your elderly mother moved furniture earlier that day, and tomorrow's work presentation isn't even halfway done. In this moment, between the dirty dishes and the weight of everyone else's expectations, you catch your reflection in the microwave. Doctor, and wonder when exactly you became this person, the one who puts herself last, always. Here's what they don't tell you about being a mother after 35. You're simultaneously dealing with teenagers who think you know nothing, aging parents who need everything, a body that's starting to whisper its limitations, and a society that somehow expects you to handle it all with Pinterest-perfect grace. But what if I told you that a group of ancient philosophers faced similar pressures 2,000 years ago and developed a system so powerful it's still changing lives today? Marcus Aurelius wrote his most profound philosophical insights, not in a quiet study, but in a military tent while leading the Roman Empire through plague and war. He was a father, a leader, pulled in 1,000 directions, making decisions that affected millions while trying to raise decent human beings. Sound familiar? The difference is he had tools, mental frameworks that transformed chaos into clarity, anxiety into action, and overwhelming responsibility into profound purpose. The first lesson hits you like cold water. You cannot control your children's choices, only your response to them. When your 16-year-old slams the door after you've said no to that party where you know there will be no supervision, your instinct is to control, to protect, to force compliance. But Epictetus, a former slave who became one of Rome's greatest teachers, understood something profound. We suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about them. That slammed door isn't disrespect, it's a teenager's clumsy attempt at independence. Your power lies not in preventing the door slam, but in choosing how you metabolize that moment. Think about Sarah, a 42-year-old marketing director I know, whose daughter decided to drop out of college to become a tattoo artist. Sarah's first instinct was panic. The tuition money, the future she'd imagined, the explanations to relatives. But then she remembered Seneca's words about premeditation malorum, imagining loss to appreciate what remains. What if she had already lost her daughter's trust by forcing her down an unwanted path? Suddenly, supporting her daughter's artistic journey while keeping the door open for future education became not a failure, but an act of wisdom. 6 months later, her daughter was apprenticing with genuine passion, their relationship stronger than ever. The Stoics understood something. We forget in our Instagram-perfect world, life is supposed to be difficult. Comfort isn't the goal, character is. When you're scrubbing vomit off the bathroom floor at 3 a.m. while your kid moans with stomach flu, and you have a crucial meeting at 8, you're not failing, you're being forged. Marcus Aurelius called these moments the obstacle as the way. That exhaustion, that frustration, that overwhelming desire to just have one day where nobody needs anything from you, these aren't signs you're doing it wrong. They're the raw materials from which resilience is built. But here's where it gets interesting. The Stoics weren't about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. They were about radical acceptance coupled with strategic action. When your 14-year-old son tells you he hates you because you won't buy him the latest $300 sneakers that everyone else has, your emotions are valid. Feel the sting, acknowledge the hurt, but then ask yourself Seneca's question: what is the worst that can happen? He learns delayed gratification. He discovers that love isn't measured in dollars. He develops creativity to earn what he wants. Suddenly this crisis becomes an opportunity to teach values that will serve him long after those sneakers are out of style. The second major lesson revolutionizes how you view your aging body. At 35 plus, you're noticing things. The knee that protests after too much activity, the energy that flags by mid-afternoon. the metabolism that laughs at your former eating habits. Society tells you to fight it, hide it, feel ashamed. The Stoics say this is nature, and wisdom lies in working with nature, not against it. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his 50s while managing an empire, noted that our bodies are on loan. We're caretakers, not owners. This shift changes everything. Instead of punishing your body for changing, you become its partner. You learn its new rhythms. You discover that the 5 a.m. workout isn't about looking 25 again. It's about having the strength to keep showing up for everyone who depends on you. Consider Maria, a 38-year-old single mum who started experiencing chronic fatigue. Her first instinct was to push through, to maintain the same pace that worked in her 20s. But when she applied Stoic principles, she realized that accepting her body's limits wasn't weakness. It was strategy. She restructured her days, delegated what she could, and discovered that working with her energy patterns instead of against them made her more effective, not less. Her kids learned valuable lessons about self-care by watching her model it. The third lesson addresses the unique sandwich generation pressure. Your parents are aging, needing more help, sometimes becoming like children themselves. Your actual children still need guidance, support, presence. You're pulled between doctor's appointments for your mother and soccer games for your daughter, between helping with algebra homework and managing your father's medications. The Stoic principle of preferred indifference becomes your lifeline. Health, family harmony, financial stability, these are preferred, yes, but they're not entirely under your control. What is under your control? Your effort, your presence, your choices in each moment. This isn't about becoming emotionally detached. It's about finding what Seneca called the view from above. Imagine floating above your life, seeing the full picture. The teenager who seems ungrateful now but will remember your sacrifices later. The parent whose decline breaks your heart but whose life you're honoring. The career you're juggling, but which provides for everyone's needs. From this height, you see that perfection was never the goal. Showing up was. Here's a truth bomb the Stoics understood. Comparison is the thief of tranquility. When you scroll through social media seeing other moms' highlight reels, the organic bento boxes, the kids who seem to never fight, the vacation, photos from places you can't afford, remember Epictetus's teaching about the circle of control. Their life is outside your circle. Your life, your choices, your responses, that's your domain. That mum posting perfect family photos, she might be drowning in private struggles. That friend whose teenager seems so accomplished, she might envy your kids' creativity. We're all fighting battles others can't see. The fourth lesson tackles decision fatigue. By the time you hit your late 30s or 40s, you're making approximately 35,000 decisions a day. What's for dinner? Should you let your daughter go to that sleepover? Is it time to move your dad to assisted living? Should you take that promotion with longer hours? The Stoics had a solution: principles over circumstances. When you have clear values, what Marcus Aurelius called ruling principles, decisions become easier. Not easy, but easier. Take the promotion question. If your ruling principle is family presence over material excess, the answer clarifies itself. If it's financial security for my children's education, that points another direction. The key is having these principles before the crisis hits. Write them down. Review them. Let them guide you when emotions run high and everyone has opinions about what you should do. But what about guilt? That special maternal affliction that haunts every choice. The Stoics had a radical approach. Guilt is only useful if it drives change. Feel guilty about snapping at your kids this morning? Apologize and adjust your morning routine. Feel guilty about not visiting your mom more? Schedule regular visits or calls, but guilt about things you cannot change, working full-time, not being able to afford private school, being divorced, this guilt serves no one. As Seneca advised, every new thing excites the mind, but a mind that seeks truth turns from the new to the old and finds peace. The fifth lesson might be the hardest, accepting that your children will suffer and that this suffering is necessary for their growth. Your instinct is to shield them from every hurt, every disappointment, every failure, but the Stoics knew that strength comes from struggle. When your daughter doesn't make the team, when your son is betrayed by a friend, when they face rejection, failure, heartbreak, these are not parenting failures. These are life's curriculum. Marcus Aurelius, writing to himself but speaking to all of us, said, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." Your children are part of the larger hive of humanity. The skills they need, resilience, empathy, problem-solving, emotional regulation, these aren't developed in comfort. They're forged in difficulty. Your job isn't to eliminate obstacles, but to model how to face them. Remember Jennifer, whose son was relentlessly bullied in middle school. Her mama bear instinct was to homeschool him, to remove him from all pain. But inspired by Stoic teachings, she took a different approach. Together, they worked on response strategies. They role-played scenarios. They discussed how bullies often act from their own pain. They built his internal strength rather than just changing external circumstances. 2 years later, he was mentoring other kids facing similar challenges, his empathy and confidence forged in those difficult months. The sixth lesson addresses the exhaustion unique to this life stage. You're tired in your bones, in your soul. It's not just physical, it's the mental load of remembering everyone's schedules, preferences, needs. The Stoics had a practice called negative visualization, imagining loss to appreciate what you have. But for overwhelmed mothers, I recommend a variation. Imagine having already lived this phase. Picture yourself at 80, looking back. What would you miss? The chaos of family dinners, the texts asking for rides, the very needs that exhaust you now. This isn't toxic positivity, it's perspective. Yes, you're tired. Yes, it's relentless. But, as Marcus Aurelius reminded himself during his hardest days, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work, as a human being. What do I have to complain of, if I'm going to do what I was born for? The things I was brought into the world to do? The seventh lesson confronts the fear that haunts mothers over 35, time running out. You calculate, if your child is 10, you have 8 years left of daily influence. If your parents are 70, how many good years remain? This scarcity mindset can paralyze or panic you. The Stoics offer a different frame. Memento mori, remember you will die, but this isn't morbid, it's motivating. It strips away the trivial, highlights the essential. When you truly grasp your mortality and everyone else's, you stop wasting time on grudges, on trying to change people, on pursuing approval from those whose opinions don't matter. You focus on what Seneca called the shortness of life, not with despair but with clarity. That argument about screen time, worth having, but not worth destroying the relationship. That perfect birthday party you're killing yourself to plan. Your child will remember your presence more than the decorations. Lisa learned this viscerally when diagnosed with breast cancer at 41. With 2 young teens, her first thought was time, how little might remain. But Stoic philosophy helped her reframe. She couldn't control the cancer, but she could control how she spent whatever time she had. She stopped nagging about messy rooms and started having real conversations. She quit committees that drained her and invested in relationships that fed her soul. Now, cancer-free for 3 years, she says the illness was her teacher, showing her what the Stoics knew. We don't lack time, we waste it. The eighth lesson tackles the identity crisis common to mothers at this stage. Who are you beyond Mom? When the kids need you less, when your parents need you more but in different ways, when your body changes and career plateau hits, who are you? The Stoics had a powerful concept, the inner citadel. Inside you is an unassailable fortress, a core self that external circumstances cannot touch. This isn't built overnight, but through daily practices. Start with morning pages, not gratitude lists, but honest assessments. What do you think, feel, want? Not as a mother, daughter, employee, but as a human being. Read philosophy, even 5 minutes daily. Take walks alone, without podcasts or music, just you and your thoughts. The goal isn't to escape your roles, but to remember that you're playing roles. The real you, the director of this performance, remains constant underneath. When 45-year-old Patricia's youngest left for college, she felt untethered. 20 years of organizing her life around children's needs, and suddenly, silence. But she'd been building her inner citadel through years of Stoic practice. She knew this transition was coming and had prepared. She didn't frantically fill the void, but sat with it, explored it. She discovered that the woman underneath the mother role was curious, adventurous, ready for Act 2. She went back to school, started traveling, redefined her marriage from co-parents to partners again. The 9th lesson addresses the anger, that volcanic rage that surprises you with its intensity. The endless asking, needing, taking. The partners who don't pull their weight. The society that judges every choice. The body that betrays. The parents who still criticize even as they need your help. Marcus Aurelius, who had plenty of reasons for anger, developed a practice. Morning reflection on others' flaws and our own, preparing for the day's frustrations with philosophical armor. But Stoicism isn't about suppressing anger. It's about understanding it. Anger is often fear-dressed. Up as strength. What are you afraid of? That your children won't succeed? That you're failing? That you're becoming your mother? Name the fear and anger loses its power. Seneca said anger is brief madness. In that madness we say things we regret, make decisions that haunt us. The Stoic practice is the pause, that space between stimulus and response where wisdom lives. Watch Rebecca, who used to explode at her teenage son's defiance, yelling matches that left everyone wounded. Then she learned the Stoic pause. When he pushed buttons, she'd say, "I need 5 minutes to think about this." In those minutes, she'd ask herself, what's really happening here? What does he need? What do I want to accomplish? Those 5 minutes changed their relationship. He learned that his mother was human, thinking things through. She learned that his defiance was often fear masquerading as bravado. The 10th lesson is about legacy, but not the one you think. Forget leaving millions or having kids who become presidents. The Stoic legacy is character, yours and theirs. Every choice you make is teaching them how to be human. When you apologize after losing your temper, you teach humility. When you boundaries with difficult relatives, you teach self-respect. When you choose meaning over money, purpose over prestige, you're writing the curriculum of their future choices. Marcus Aurelius wrote his Meditations, not for publication, but for his son, leaving a blueprint for living with integrity under pressure. Your life is your meditation, your teaching text. The question isn't whether you're perfect, but whether you're honest about your imperfections. Children learn more from watching you recover from mistakes than from never seeing you make them. As we near the end of this journey through Stoic wisdom for modern mothers, remember that implementation beats information. Start small. Choose one. Stoic practice this week. Maybe it's the morning pause before checking your phone, asking yourself, what's in my control today? Maybe it's the evening reflection, reviewing the day without judgment, just observation. Maybe it's reading one page of Marcus Aurelius while your coffee brews. The Stoics believed in the discipline of action, that philosophy without practice is just intellectual entertainment. Your life is the laboratory. Every tantrum, every crisis, every juggled responsibility is an opportunity to practice. Not to be perfect, but to be purposeful. Not to eliminate challenges, but to meet them with tools tested over 2 millennia. Here's your permission slip signed by ancient philosophers who understood pressure. You don't have to be everything to everyone. You don't have to fix every problem. You don't have to feel guilty for being human. You do have to show up, do your best with what you control, and let go of what you don't. That's not settling, that's wisdom. As Seneca wrote in letters to his own mother, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. The end of trying to be superhuman is the beginning of being beautifully, powerfully human. The end of controlling outcomes is the beginning of influencing through example. The end of fighting time is the beginning of making peace with its passage. Your children will leave, your parents will pass, your body will age. These aren't tragedies, they're nature. Fighting nature is exhaustion. Working with it is wisdom. The Stoics knew that the only thing we truly possess is our choices in this moment. Choose wisely, but more importantly, choose consciously. Because in the end, that's what your children will remember. Not the perfect birthday parties, or the spotless house, or the designer clothes, but how you faced life's storms. Show them it's possible to stand in the hurricane of competing needs and impossible standards and find the eye of the storm within yourself. That's your legacy. That's your victory. That's your wisdom, hard-won and freely given to the next generation. Welcome to the ancient sisterhood of women who've discovered that strength isn't about holding everything together. It's about knowing what to hold and what to release. The Stoics are your ancestors in this, voices across centuries saying, yes, life is difficult, yes, the responsibilities are overwhelming, but you have everything you need within you to meet this moment and the next and the next. Not with perfection, but with presence. Not with control, but with choice. Not with guilt, but with grace. This is your invitation to join them. The philosophy that sustained emperors and slaves, warriors and teachers is yours for the taking. Use it, live it, pass it on. Because somewhere another mother over 35 is standing in her kitchen at 2 a.m. wondering how she'll make it through. Your example, informed by ancient wisdom and lived in modern chaos, might be exactly what she needs to see. The Stoics believed we're all connected, all part of the cosmic city. Your growth lifts others. Your wisdom shared becomes their strength. Your journey from overwhelmed to empowered lights the path for the sisterhood. This is Stoicism for the real world, where the laundry never ends and someone always needs something. Where love is fierce and exhaustion is real. Where you're simultaneously too much and never enough. Where ancient wisdom meets modern motherhood and creates something entirely new. A way of being that honors both your limitations and your power. A philosophy not of perfection, but of practice. A life not of control, but of contribution. The ancient Stoics would recognize you, warrior mother. They'd see in your daily struggles the same eternal challenges they faced. How to live with integrity when pulled in multiple directions. How to find peace in chaos. How to raise good humans while remaining human yourself. Their tools are your inheritance. Their wisdom, your weapon. Their philosophy, your foundation for building a life that, when you look back at 80, fills you not with regret for what you didn't do perfectly, but with pride for how you showed up day after day, choosing consciousness over chaos, wisdom over worry, love over fear. This is your philosophy now. Use it well.